Hi, Ellen. I'm so happy to have you on the Dharma journey. Ellen is a really, really beautiful friend of mine. We've been living in Bali together for the last 2.5 years, and she's been working at the Practice Bali. That's how we met, and it's been a big part of my own Dharma journey. Practicing with Ellen and going to her weekly kirtans and really just having her in my life as a soul sister and someone that's really helped me up, with guidance and with compassion and love when I've needed it. And the reason why I really wanted to get Ellen on here, apart from her being a beautiful human, is she's actually the woman behind the intro and the outro of the Dharma journey. So they're kind of like the theme tune for the Dharma journey. And I love the fact that you're actually one of my close friends, and you've basically given some of your beautiful songs or mantras to us to help other people jump back to a state of love, joy, gratitude, inspiration. So Ellen, thank you so much for coming on. And today we're gonna talk about all things mantra and how mantra's been so powerful in your life, in my life, and other people's lives as well. And I just share a quick story before we start. A couple of weeks ago I was in Ellen's kirtan. She does kirtans at the Practice Bali and also online and private sessions, and we were doing one together. And I had just come out of a plant-based medicine ceremony, and I felt quite vulnerable. A lot of things had shifted through me, and I thought I'll come to Ellen's kirtan. And I can't remember the exact. Can you remember what the mantra was?
I think we were chanting to, it was either the Maha Mantra, but we were chanting to Krishna, essentially.
Yeah, and I literally, something shifted inside of me. I felt like my whole heart kind of opened, and the floods of tears that I've been holding back for so long have come through, and really that was the big shift for me, like how powerful these practices of mantra are. And I practice mantra a lot in my own life, mantra japa, and sing it a lot. Like before this session, before our podcast, I was singing your Saraswati, and I love it. But that was a really profound moment for me, because I was just sat there listening to you in floods of tears, and it really, something shifted inside of me, and that's what made me want to use the Ganesh mantra in the podcast, because it's so powerful. So maybe we can actually start with the Ganesh mantra and like what's the meaning behind the Ganesh mantra, because a lot of people don't know what mantra is. So I'd love for you to go deeper into that.
Yeah, amazing. Firstly, thank you for having me on. I'm honored to be chatting with you, and honored to have the Ganesh mantra as your opening and closing. Really, it's a way for us to recognize that as humans we have many obstacles that we face and come up against in our lives, and Ganesh is the force or the deity or the god or the figurehead that enables us to overcome those obstacles, and to overcome them full of grace and full of humility, and to acknowledge that our obstacles and our challenges, they don't define us, but they are and can be points of liberation for us, so that we can move beyond those things that keep us living small or apologizing or feeling that we have any kind of lack, and moving towards remembering and acknowledging that we are so powerful, so radiant, so full of love, so full of light, and ultimately we want to live more in that realm and move away from those things that keep us living small. So Ganesh, the elephant-headed deity or god, helps us to move through those obstacles. And it's perfect because you've put it at the start of your it's your introduction, and it's said that you chant to Ganesh at the very beginning of a transition or a journey, often you'll see Ganesh, the statue of Ganesh at the entrance of a home or a temple or a building, because you pray to Ganesh first.
Like, thank you for elaborating on that, because I woke up one day and I don't know what it was, if it was intuition, if it was, you know, something higher, and I had this insight connecting, like, you have to get Ellen to sing Ganesh, or you have to. I ask her nicely. I ask her nicely, you have to. I ask her nicely, please, 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 can you chant Ganesh for us? Because I know you've just been on your, like, you're just building your Spotify account, and you kind of like, I was like, you need to get this on here because it's such a powerful mantra. And I know when we were at Kirtan, everyone's always like, oh, are we doing Ganesh today? Because we love it.
Yeah.
So I remember you said, like, one client one time said, like, oh, we didn't do Ganesh today, and then they got a bit sad.
They were disappointed. Yeah. Yeah, I've had so many people tell me about their insights specifically during a Ganesh mantra, and yeah, it's so profound, and that mantra has so much momentum behind it as well, because at the end of the day, we all want to overcome the things that keep us feeling stuck or bound or unhappy or unhealthy, or we all want to move through that. So when we get the green light through Ganesh to move through that, there's momentum, there's power, there's enthusiasm, there's tears, there's laughter. It's like, yeah, of course we should be moving through that density, of course.
And vibration, music is such a, you put on a song, it can instantly change your whole body, your mind, everything.
Yeah.
And and I think for a lot of the listeners, maybe because we live in Bali, and obviously the Hindu culture is it's huge here, so we have a lot of Ganesh, and we have the culture, and obviously you work at a traditional tantra Catholic yoga studio in the practice Bali, and so for us it's very normal to chant these weird mantras. But for people that have never heard mantra before, a lot of them may not know what actually, what is the words of mantra, like where does it come from, and what are what does the meaning behind some of these mantras unfolding? How do they, can you share some of the mantras and the meanings behind them?
Yeah, so there's many different ways that you can chant mantra, and the way that I do and we do, we're chanting in a very sacred language called Sanskrit. And I grew up Catholic, so I would sing hymns and prayers, and it's not too dissimilar to that, except that it's rooted in the Hindu mythology. We're chanting to Ganesh, we're chanting to Hanuman, we're chanting to Saraswati, to Krishna, and really all that means is that we're chanting to the many varying faces of God, of divinity, of source, of spirit. And what I love so much about this way of chanting to the divinity is that it doesn't just say that God or success or abundance or prosperity is outside of ourselves, but it says that it is deeply located within our own being. So when we're chanting to a god or a goddess, we are also chanting to that same qualities of that god or goddess that lies within us. So we're chanting to courage, we're chanting to radiance, we're chanting to peace, to overcoming and things like that. So that's why I resonate with this way of chanting mantra, because it includes me in the process. It includes my humanness in the process. And it doesn't say that if I do something bad, that I'm going to, suffer the consequences of that. So Sanskrit is a heard and a revealed language. So it's not conceptualized by the human mind. These sounds and these syllables, these frequencies, they, like you said, they directly affect our cells. They direct our energetic pathways, our chakras, our nadis, our physical makeup. it starts to create and carve out new pathways within the brain, so that we start to think a little bit more outside of the concepts and the ideas that perhaps we have been previously. So to say that it is profound is such an understatement. It can radically transform the way that we view ourselves, the way that we view the world and each other. So a takeaway from that is that we're chanting in Sanskrit, an ancient, profound, beautiful, all-encompassing language that helps us connect to that divine aspect within ourselves, as well as that divinity that is outside of ourselves.
And I think right now a lot of people are wanting to have some form of connection to something beyond themselves, and not in a religious way, but I think so many of us are in the world right now looking for hope, because I think with the state of humanity, it's really, there is a lot of suffering, unfortunately. And I know, for example, in my own mantra practice and chanting and singing, it's when I feel like I'm in that funk. I know you said that the other day, but I'm in, when you're in that funk and your mind is just like self-sabotaging, yourself, and you're in that kind of downward spiral for maybe a day or half an hour. And there's a mantra that I put on at the moment. It's like by Sam Garrett. It's like Om Shri Lakshmi Nama Devi Nama.
Yeah, nice.
And it's called I Choose to Live in Love, and wow, it's such a powerful one for me. And it's about 20 minutes long, and I send it to my clients, and I'm like, if you're having a funk, I either send them your one, like I love the Saraswati or the Ganesh, or I send them I Choose to Live in Love, and that one's really powerful as well. And I would love to know, like, what inspired you to get into mantra? Because before doing mantra, like, what were you doing? I know you were singing, but not obviously, this kind of singing or chanting. You were doing other stuff.
Yeah, I was living in Sydney in Australia, and I was doing many things all at once just to get by, as we do. But I was singing in pubs and bars and restaurants and weddings, and singing, the contemporary popular music as well as jazz. And I loved it very much, and I studied music because I knew that I wanted to use my voice in some way, but I just wasn't really sure how. And then so I was singing, I guess you could call it performing. And then I started practicing yoga. I did my teacher training here in Bali in 2015 with Octavio. I heard mantra through him, and I was like, I think this is why I have a voice. And it wasn't an instant thing. It probably took me a year or so after doing my training to be like, okay, this is really what I have to lean into. So I stopped doing all public kind of gigs and stopped singing for money. And I just really started to dive into the world of mantra, and then started doing kirtans very, very slowly and incrementally. And then as of 2.5 years ago, when I moved to Bali, I started doing weekly kirtan through the practice. So yeah, it's been incremental. It feels like it happened quite quickly, but when I look back, I know that that's not the case. There was there's still many hours of me just sitting in my room chanting to myself. So it's not it's not all this external kind of singing and liberating ourselves through community. There is a big aspect of this practice that is on our own, in our room, with our thoughts, with our instruments, or with our mantra japa beads, or whatever it is, that. So my journey is very much external and singing with people, but it's also singing, with myself and in my room.
Would you say you're quite self-critical of yourself when it comes to singing and yeah, using your voice, because I know a lot of people on here, me included, I was singing yesterday, and there's that voice in the back of the head, like you're not good enough, and I don't know where it comes from, but it's like we have this fear of using our voice as people in many ways, not just singing, but especially singing. We only do it in the shower or
totally, or in the car,
in the car.
I think there's so many detrimental things that happen to us as children when it comes to our voices, being told to be quiet, being shushed, even just voicing an opinion and not having it heard, or not being seen as a child, or even a young adult, or even as an adult. That can have a really horrendous kind of effect on the way that we use our voices. And if we don't use them, and we're just using our voice to speak, I wouldn't really say that that's using our voice in its fullest capacity, because I always say this, that we, for many thousands of years, we as humans have used our voices, have danced, have sang, have created ceremonies around fires, and we've used our voice as a way to move through ritual and experience ourselves as more than just our bodies and more than just our thoughts. So to answer your question, when I was singing in that performance world, like a few years ago now, I was going to say many years ago, it wasn't that long ago, but when I was singing, I was very, very critical. I was very harsh on myself, and I would compare myself, and I still do, but definitely not to the same degree. Now I just I like to continue to remind myself that my voice is simply just a vehicle. It's not something to criticize. It's not something to belittle or judge, but I notice it being a vehicle toward my own evolution of my mind, my consciousness, my capacity to love myself and love other people more fully. And so it doesn't mean that I don't get nervous when I'm about to sing or chant. I definitely do, because I feel that that's a beautiful that's energy in the body, but I'm less like, you didn't hit that note, you're a failure, or anything like that. I definitely don't. If anything, I enjoy myself not sounding so perfect, because I used to be so obsessed with that. So I just, I have many students who I guide through mantra, and I see the transition from them when they first start with me. The voice is a little bit meek, it's a little bit timid, to becoming more courageous and confident when it comes to just using the voice as it was designed, and not being so worried about how it sounds, more so about how it feels.
And do you think people can all sing? Because this is something I always question. It's like, can everybody sing? And because of our conditioned patterns, because of our fear around using our voice and our opening this up, this channel of creativity, do you think everyone can sing? It's just learning to open this up, and then not be afraid of vocalizing and expressing yourself? Or do you think some people naturally just don't have that ability to tune in and really understand the rhythm of music and of chanting in tune or singing in tune?
It's such a such a big question, and I know that there's a technical way to answer that, because there is such a thing as being tone deaf, but that doesn't mean that you can't express yourself through your voice. So even if you're tone deaf, you can still chant mantra. What we have, because of the media, what we relate to singing is this perfectly pitched, melodic, emotionally upheaving kind of sound that comes out of the human body. And you know, there's a small percentage of society that can sing like that, and there's a big percentage of our society that cannot sing like that. So I believe that we can all sing. I believe that we can train our inner ear to be able to perceive sound as authentically and as truthfully as possible. And a big part of that is kind of getting out of our own way, and trusting that process. But I fully believe that we can all sing. I believe it in my being, in my gut, because I don't think that singing has to be melodic or pretty or on a stage. It just, yeah, to answer your question, I think we all can and we all should.
Yeah. Thank you. What about people that say are listening and, you know, they might not have never heard or been to a kirtan before.
Yeah.
And, you know, if they are wanting to maybe express themselves, use their voice as a channel of creativity and expression, what would be a good starting point to start to notice if you're tone deaf, or if you've got a little bit of chance to practice singing? I mean, I think a lot of us people, they don't know where to start. Maybe and mantras like Om, or, you know, we did an Om before we started. I know that's a very powerful one, but is there any mantra or any tools that you have that people can start to open up their voice and their throat so they can start to sing in tune and really warm that area up if it's been closed off for a while?
Yeah, it's a good question. And if anyone out there listening is really serious about, you know, discovering their voice, then I would suggest finding someone who can help you and who can guide you and who can be a mirror. Even if that is, you know, that is a teacher, that is someone that you go and get lessons from, or, you know, a friend that you trust, and have the two of you sing something and see if you can mirror it back. Because if we're not being guided, we can miss we can kind of tell ourselves that, oh, that was really good, and but maybe it wasn't so on pitch or in the correct rhythm or something like that. So if you are serious about it, I highly recommend getting some kind of lesson or guidance, or have someone that you trust kind of listen to you and give some kind of feedback. But please be sure to have a friend to you who really has the capacity to give you constructive feedback, not just belittle you or make you feel any worse.
Hold space.
And I do vocal warm-ups. You know, you can't just expect to, if you've never ridden a bike before, get on a bike and go for it. So you warm up, you practice, you fall, you get up, you keep going. So a lot of people think that this is a quick fix, and unfortunately, like anything, it's not. If you want to develop the voice, you really have to dedicate your time, your presence, your focus to doing that thing like you would any other mode. But I do, like, it's something that you can just take away now. It's something called bubble lips. I do this all the time.
I like doing the opening my mouth, you know, like you don't want anyone to be like, oh.
Opening the really mouth, stretching the jaw, self-massage of the jaw, all of it.
This will go on YouTube too, so people will see all these weird things.
Oh, good, but it's just making the sound of like how kids do it all the time. And just being comfortable with, you know, the mouth moving in that kind of a way. Even doing things like la, just moving up and down. La.
It's funny, actually. When I was practicing for the intro, like to do the intro and the outro of the podcast, I was doing voice notes and I was like really practicing
Yeah.
my voice, and I was just laughing because it's like, you know, when you know, it's like a phone voice, somebody has a different voice. And
Yeah.
I wanted to sound really kind of like grounded and calm, and I kind of did a lot of the voice notes that I think is really good, is voice note yourself. and
Yeah.
and I was like, actually was like breathing into my belly, because you're less in your, I think people like listening to people that are in more of a, you know, like the male tone, which is a little bit more lower than a high pitch. Women have got a little bit more higher tone, would you say, voices?
Yeah. Yeah, really generally speaking.
Mm.
Yeah. We're a little bit, we tend to sit higher in our register. But yeah, that's a good point to record yourself and listen to yourself back. That's a mirror.
Yeah.
But then you're the one criticizing yourself, so just be careful with that as well. Yeah.
And what would you say, like, how has mantra, like, has there been a point in your life where, you know, because this podcast is all about how can we suffer less, and how can you and I and the people listening jump back to a state of love, joy, gratitude, inspiration. And, you know, the whole theme for it is getting beautiful people on that have been on their Dharma journey, that are still on their Dharma journey, because it's never ending.
Yeah.
And, you know,
Never ending.
how can we suffer less, you know, and that really is, I believe the whole point of this thing called life is jumping back on, you know, when we've gone through a breakup, or when we've gone through, you know, something painful, discomfort, you know, how can people jump back? And is there a specific mantra, or is there a specific life event that you've been through that mantras helped you come out the other side? And if you want to share or expand on that.
Yeah, I think it kind of happened that I was in quite a toxic, very negative, very detrimental, not only to my mental health, but physical health, my heart, the health of my heart, my capacity to love, was really being compromised. And around that time was when I started to lean quite heavily into yoga, and then I did my teacher training. So I think because I was going through such a hard time, there was a part of me that was yearning to get free of it, to get out of it. But because I was so conditioned, so habitual, I couldn't logically get myself out of the situation that I found myself in. So I needed something to help and to guide me. And that was definitely yoga asana. That was, you know, purifying my body, really moving my body a lot. And then through that, I started to realize the depths of yoga. And through that, I started to be so informed by the beauty and the intelligence of mantra. And I think of it like a clouded mind. When you start to infiltrate a clouded mind with mantra, it clears the density, the fog, so that we can see ourselves, our experiences, our past experiences as clearly as possible, so that we're not repeating patterns again and again. But mantra has showed me the depths of my despair. It really has showed me how horribly I treat myself, how horribly I've treated other people, you know, unconsciously, obviously not intentionally, but how I've really let myself down in so many ways, and how I don't want to live like that anymore. I want to be an inspiration for myself first. And that's been like a hard pill to swallow, because I always, as we're conditioned as young kids, you know, we always are inspired by people who are at that celebrity status. They're famous, or they're really rich, or whatever it is. But it's been so humbling to come full circle and start to realize that I actually inspire myself on a daily basis. And And then I'm able to, you know, look out into the world and see and ask myself, okay, who do I actually look up to? Who are the people in my life who have truly made an impact and a difference? And it's got nothing to do with how much money they have, what they look like. It's how humbly are they living their lives? How sweet are they to their community? How giving, how nurturing, how empowered, how mentally stable and strong are they? How quick are they able to apologize and see where they've kind of gone off the rails and are able to come back, like you said, jump back, bounce back. Yeah, those are the people that inspire me, and it's through finding that within myself first that I'm able to recognize that in other people. And I hand that over to mantra because of the repetition. You said before that you listened to that Lakshmi mantra and it's a 20-minute mantra. So it's just repetitive Sanskrit. It's the same Sanskrit sounds and syllables over and over again. So within that, you get to see your mind exhilarated. You get to see your mind defeated. You get to see your mind calm and balanced and clear. And so you see yourself in all of these kind of different modes, and then you appreciate yourself so much more. So mantra has kind of pulled me out of a lot of heavy, dense situations, made me see myself with more clarity and love and compassion, and I'm so grateful for that. And that's why I'm so passionate about sharing it.
Yeah, it really radiates from you. And I say that Ellen's probably one of the most humblest people I know. And, you know, she spends most of her weekdays, money on helping Bali dogs that have been literally left on the side of the road to die. Literally, it's pretty painful to see. And she goes and collects all the puppies, all the stray mama dogs that have really been breastfeeding for their pups, and they kind of like are loose ends, and she comes and collects them all, and she gets them all what's it called, neutered?
Yeah, spay and neutered, sterilized. Yeah.
So they're not going to keep on having, you know, multiple puppies and really find homes for all the dogs in Bali. Maybe we can go off the mantra for a little bit, and you can just tell us about the puppies that you help.
Yeah, thanks, babe. I actually attest mantra to my courage to do service like that, you know, because before I would just see suffering and I would become the suffering and I would cry and I would do nothing. And then I think through chanting, through becoming a more courageous version of myself, I now see suffering, and not that I know what to do, but I have the desire to do something, whether that is to feed a dog or to call a vet to come and pick up a dog and take it to the clinic, or if I physically take the dog on myself and I bring it to my house. You know, for me, mantra, and I'm not joking, like I really feel that mantra has given me such courage to be able to see suffering and then do something about it, rather than sitting and just and suffering with it and doing nothing. So
yeah, it's been, empath.
Yeah, full Pisces baby for sure. Yeah, but you know, if I'm not teaching yoga, or if I'm not, you know, leading kirtan or doing my own practice, most of my days, like you said, I'm out either street feeding dogs that rely on me to feed them every day, or I come across, I'm like a magnet, you know, once they realize that I'm someone that can help them.
Save me.
Save me. And it's so interesting. They find me in many ways. My boyfriend would be like, no, you go and find them. But it's a combination. I really do think that they can smell it on me that I care and that I'm going to do something. So it's beautiful. A lot of people give me donations, and like you said, I spend my own money as well, but donations have been so incredible so that I can continue doing this. And it's a big reason as to why I think I'm here to practice, to lead kirtan, and to help those who aren't able to help themselves. And I'm very passionate about that one as well.
I know. So a couple of weeks ago, Ellen found these cute little, how many were there? Like Zazu's family?
There was 4, yeah.
4. So she came and found these 4 little pups, and one of them has like a black nose and then a brown body, and they're the kind of type dogs that get used in sacrifices. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Ceremony, yeah, sacrifice.
Galagang, this it's a big festival at the moment, so I'm sure that Zazu might not have made it, and thankfully Ellen rescued the pup that we have, Zazu. I would get her, but I'm not sure where she's eating a bone, and she rescued her, and then she brought her to me, and she's like, do you want to have a little puppy? And I already have one, Suka, and I was like, oh, I've already rescued one, that's my duty and service for this time. Ellen's very good at persuading with those big eyes, and I couldn't help myself. She's so cute. You probably see if you follow me on Instagram and stuff. So yeah. I think what you do is so beautiful, and I honestly put my hands up to you, because I know so many people, we all think about ourselves, and I know I'm super selfish at times, I do my part too. I think we get wrapped up in this like fast-paced life, and all we really sometimes care about as ourselves. So I think a big part of the work that you do in your own personal practice with yoga and tantra and mantra, and it's a science of healing and self-empowerment and really evolving our consciousness so we can become more compassionate beings. And really that is the practice, and it really shows in your life. So you are, you're practicing what you're preaching, and that for me is super powerful. And I think we need more people in the world that are living their truth and showing up as their most authentic selves. And I think that's why I'm so grateful to have you as a friend, because you actually shine the light on my own bullshit sometimes when I'm being out of alignment, and she'll bring me back into my own truth, and I'm like, oh, okay. And that's really what a true friend does, and I really respect that. Even though at the beginning, when someone said something and it triggers you and you're like, oh, but then you realize it triggers you because it's true.
Yes, always.
I'm like, okay. So that's, you need friends that will keep you in alignment. My dog was running off and barking. And that's really, I think our friendship has grown so much because of that authenticity and that openness.
Yeah, I appreciate all your amazing words. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. And I would love to ask as well, what would you say if money wasn't an issue? I asked you this the other day, so I want you to share it. If money was no issue, if you could do I know you're living your Dharma right now, but obviously Dharma is always unfolding. It's not an end thing. As we grow, our Dharma unfolds, our purpose. But, if money wasn't an issue and, you could do anything in the world, what would it be?
I would, because this is a big thing that I come up against, or have been coming up against. I would create a really beautiful kirtan band, and I would even though in these times we're not able to do this, but I would travel, I would sing, I would share and spread this incredible practice. But yeah, like I've always wanted, and not that you need a lot of money to even do that, but have a band of like-minded humans who are really on that same trajectory of doing something that is meaningful, and doing something through music that can really uplift and help people to transcend their darkness or their habits. So it would be to travel with mantra and kirtan, but I would open up a sanctuary for animals. More specifically dogs and possibly horses as well. But
I'll put the donation link below on the, so if anyone wants to donate to Ellen's dream.
Yeah, I know, right? My big dream. But yeah, I just really think that animals don't deserve to suffer the way they do, because we humans have, it doesn't take much for us to really help those who aren't able to help themselves.
Yeah.
And yeah, I would do that. It's on my mind a lot these days to open something, or to have something that enables me to do more here.
Maybe you could do like when Bali opens up, you could do big concert, kirtan concert, and a lot of the proceeds can go to the animal shelter, and then we can build like a community of just animals, and it'd be like safari.
Yes.
People come and they
Perfect. Yeah, and it'd just be over the loudspeaker 24/7 mantra, and the animals would love it.
Yeah. What mantras would we have on? Go on, tell the listeners that are listening that want to learn about a mantra. And obviously at the end, you're gonna have to wait to the end, because some people don't always wait to the end of the podcast, but this is powerful at the end, because we'll have the mantra at the end of the podcast, of every podcast. Yeah. Obviously this one is definitely important, but is there a specific mantra that has really helped you overcome your own limitations? Obviously there's Ganesha. Is there any other ones that have a powerful meaning that people can go on your Spotify, listen to, and chant with you? Yeah,
I would say it would have to be the first mantra that I can remember hearing, is Om Asatoma Sat Gamaya.
Go on, say
it. Mantra. Om Asatoma Sat Gamaya, Tamasoma Jyotir Gamaya, Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. So it's a mantra that leads us, leads us from darkness to light. And it's the way that I approach it is that we are asking for help and for guidance. Help me. I need help, and it's okay to ask for help and support. And you do that through this mantra. Lead me from untruth to truth. Lead me from fear to love, essentially. So definitely that mantra, that was the first one that I ever learned, as well as the Maha mantra, the Hare Krishna mantra, that has really impacted my nervous system, I would say. I feel that has created such ease and a capacity to love, if not unconditionally, at least towards unconditional love. That's been such a beautiful mantra. That's a mantra to Krishna and to Rama. Yeah, I mean, I could just keep talking about it, but I'll just leave it at those two.
We're gonna have you on, I'm sure, many more times, and we can talk a bit more about mantra japa, and there's other areas of mantra that you can dive into for spiritual practice. Totally. I mean, this is one way for community and for chanting, but you can also bring mantras internally. But I think we'll leave that one for another time, because if you haven't haven't begun your mantra practice, or you haven't even heard a mantra before, it might be a bit too overwhelming. But for those of you for those of you who have a form of mantra practice, mantra japa, spiritual practice, and you want to take this further, how can people connect with you, and maybe do what are your offerings? Obviously you teach kirtan and mantra and
so I have, if you're obviously here in Bali, I lead a kirtan every Saturday at 4 p.m. I also have many different little snippets of mantra on my Instagram, which is, I'm sure Raya will put in the notes. And I have a SoundCloud, as well as in the process of creating a Spotify account. yeah, in order to do that, I need to record a little bit more. So that's going to be a bit of a process, but yeah, those places for now.
Yeah, we're going to put on the show notes Ellen's Spotify or when it's up. And I'm hoping it will be up by the time we launch this one. So people can go in and start chanting and singing along and shift their vibration to a state of love, joy, gratitude, inspiration. Thank you so much for being on here. I appreciate your time and your energy and the fact that you sung and chanted the Ganesha and shared it with all of the beautiful people listening. So thank you, Ellen. We love you.
Thank you so much, Raya. Love you too.
Can't wait to connect, and I'll put Ellen's details if you want to connect further with her to do any mantra privates, or just go on her Instagram and see what she's doing and up to. And eventually she'll be touring the world, and I'll be one of the I'll be the background singer. Ooh la la la. Maybe not ooh la la.
What mantra has ooh la la la?
No. I'll be in the background chanting gam gana pataye.
Perfect.
I need a few more singing lessons to get my voice open. So
you have a beautiful voice, Briar. You really do.
Thank you. All right. Well, we'll see you next time on the Dharma Journey podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and lots of love. Bye, guys.
Lots of love. Namaste.
Namaste.
Gam Ganapataye Namah. Gam Ganapataye Namah. Gam Ganapataye Namah.
Thank you so much for joining me, your host, Briar Roots, on the Dharma Journey podcast. It's been an honor to guide you and to have you listen to me and amazing people on this podcast from all walks of life. If you enjoyed the podcast, if something shifted within you and hopefully it made you laugh, cry, or had a moment of inspiration, then please feel free to share this podcast with others if it resonates. And really, that's how we grow. We grow as a collective. We grow when we unite and we help one another out. And really, that's the beauty of why we're all here, is to guide each other home, help us uncover our unique soul's jiva, our purpose, so we can shine our light with others and live a more auspicious life. So thank you for joining me on the Dharma Journey, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Aho, Hariom.